Today's topic, my thoughts on IIFYM, if it fits your macros. 6 months ago, I had no idea what the if it fits your macros was. But when I heard secondhand that you could eat as many Pop-Tarts, Twinkies, and pancakes as you want to gain size, I nearly punched a motherfucker in the face. But then I started reading about if it fits your macros. And I kept reading, and reading some more. And I got bored. Real bored. Because if it fits your macros is nothing really new. If it fits your macros means that if it fits your macronutrients, your protein, carbs, and fats, and your micronutrients, you can eat it. Let's say you calculate you should eat about 3,100 calories, so 250 grams of protein, 300 grams of carbs, and 100 grams of fat. As long as at the end of the day you get those proper macronutrients, it's cool to eat. What to the wise though? You can't eat everything. My boy Gianni, he ate glue, and now he's dead. He's dead. You can have some chicken breasts and chocolate chip cookies, sweet potatoes, salsa, and Slurpees. Whatever the you want. By now you're probably excited about this diet, but slow down, Skippy. The devil is in the details, because you also have to hit your micronutrients. You know, your essential vitamins and minerals, and some if it fits your macro diets also include a fiber minimum. And guess what? If you have to be consuming vitamins, most of your foods you're going to be eating on this diet are going to be traditional clean foods. Steak, sweet potato, and spinach. You'll find at the end of the day that about 80 to 90% of your food are traditional clean foods, and about 10 to 20% are your dirty foods. Even Alan Aragon, a supporter of if it fits your macros, stated that the traditional dirty foods would only comprise 10 to 20% of a client's total calories. You know, Pop-Tarts don't have that much zinc. But flexible dieting has been around for a really long time. John Berardi has had his 90-10 rule for over a decade. Eat 90% whole unprocessed foods, and the other 10% of your discretionary calories you can eat whatever you want. What is new is the changing hierarchy of importance when it comes to eating. The emphasis with flexible dieting is on total caloric intake and your macros. Meal timing and frequency aren't nearly as important. Recent research supports this. It's not a free-for-all just to eat bullshit. I mean, for hard training athletes, I recommend more zinc and magnesium. You'll inevitably find that a good portion of your calories come from clean foods. No one's going to argue that an ice cream cone is nutritionally superior to spinach. It would take a rough estimation that you'll eat 90% clean food and 10% dirty food. If you eat 20,000 calories throughout the week, only 2,000 of those calories are from dirty foods. That's not a lot of calories. This does highlight the difference from traditional eating and if it fits your macros. It's a subtle switch. You can follow flexible dieting and have your chocolate chip cookie every single day, or you can be like your traditional bodybuilder with a cheat day or cheat meal where then you'll eat 10 chocolate chip cookies in one day. If anything, I'd argue that if it fits your macros is stricter than a traditional diet because there's no cheat day. You fit your cheat meals into your normal caloric intake. Just look at the food logs of guys that use if it fits your macros, and you'll find that they're eating the same shit that everybody else is. In the end, it's very important to have a healthy relationship with food. Yo, Chef Puff, is it kind of weird I want to stick my dick through a donut every time I see it? Is that an unhealthy relationship with food? Yeah, like I'm the only one that thought of that. Really? Okay. I think those with bad eating habits will gravitate towards if it fits your macros, much like intermittent fasting. But it doesn't mean that it's bad. Well, let's review some of the popular myths about intermittent fasting. Myth 1, it's junk food all the time. It'd be impossible to hit all your macros and micros eating junk all day. Try getting 250 grams of protein from eating pancakes. It's not gonna happen. You'll once again find yourself gravitating mainly towards traditional whole unprocessed food. Myth number 2, there isn't a focus on healthy food. Once again incorrect, because there's minimum micronutrient needs. You know, your vitamins and your minerals. So you need a certain amount of vitamin C in the day, vitamin A, zinc, and magnesium. A good flexible diet will also include a minimum fiber intake. You know how much fiber you get from eating pizza and pop? Not a whole lot. You will have to eat your vegetables. 3, flexible dieting will lead to suboptimal results. This one will be incredibly hard to quantify. Remember, the emphasis with flexible dieting is on total caloric intake and macronutrients, the most important nutrition factors when trying to build muscle or lose fat. Final myth is for those that are lazy. Sure, some guys that want to eat Twinkies all day will gravitate towards it. If anything, I'd argue that if it fits your macros is stricter, because you have to calculate all your macros and micros. You have to know what you're eating every single day. When you go out to eat, whatever you buy, you have to constantly be calculating and know for a fact what you're eating and how many calories it has, and more importantly, what are their macros. Now that we dispelled a lot of the bullshit, let's go over the potential benefits and negatives. 1, it forces you to figure out how many calories you need and how many protein, carbs, and fats in a day you need to eat in order to gain size. 2, it dispels a lot of old bodybuilding myths. You don't have to eat chicken and rice 7 times a day in order to grow. Diversity is the spice of life. 3, it allows much greater flexibility when planning out your nutrition. You gotta choose when and what you eat. Lastly, it saves guys from crying when they eat a donut fearing that they're suddenly gonna get fat. Now here are some of the negatives. 1. Guys that have an unhealthy relationship with food are going to gravitate towards this, eat a lot of Twinkies, and then say it fits their macros. 2. It's hard to properly assess your micronutrient needs. Every single individual is unique. I think that flexible dieting calculators can be improved. Most of their estimators for the micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals, I find on the very low side. 3. You have to calculate everything. Not only is this time consuming, you might find yourself living out of a Tupperware container. You have to calculate your carrots, crackers, and chicken. You also will have to buy a kitchen scale and weigh every single food item. Oops! That fucking Tic Tac you just ate? It's a macro, bitch. You gotta count it. So who should use if it fits your macro? At the end of the day, it boils down to personal preference. It's better if I tell you who should not do flexible dieting. 1. Beginners. You first have to figure out what a protein, carb, and fat is in the first place. You have to know the rules before you can break the rules. 2. If you have absolutely no self-control. 3. If you don't have the time to plan. You'll need to know and measure every single thing that you're eating. Check, check, check. This diet's definitely for me. The key point of this video is that if it fits your macros can definitely work. Am I currently following it? No. Have I been using some of the principles for years without knowing that it was called flexible dieting? Absolutely. In the end, it's all about compliance to a meal program, finding out what works right for you. Remember, it's not a debate between good versus bad food. You have to look at the whole picture of what you're eating every single day, week, month, and year. And guys, that is the video. Make sure to like, share with friends, and subscribe. And I will be seeing you in the next video. Since everybody's jumping on my bandwagon of if it fits your macros, I'm coming up with a new one. IIFYM. Yeah. It stands for if it fits your mouth. Chocolate bar? Yes. Watermelon? No. Donut? Yes. See? Simple. I'm gonna be getting swole. I'm not gonna be able to fit through doorways, bro. Doorways. My boy Gianni, he ain't